Here is a high-level overview on the areas for improvement that are gathered from the validation exercise that was done together with the stakeholders, the subject matter experts, as well as the division and department heads and representatives. In general, the committee is satisfied with the improvements that have been made, and there are some further suggestions for further refinement of the curriculum. In terms of the curriculum structure, the entry requirements are conceptually fine, although there is opportunity to further refine it for those participants with more than 5 years of monitoring experience. The delivery strategy allows for increased flexibility for experienced CRAs to take some modules as e-learning modules. This will allow a shorter amount of time needed for training for them to subsequently get certified and to get onto trials soonest. There's also a need to ensure that the e-learning system that is being deployed is uniform across all the sites, because the company is a global company, and it is important to ensure that there is consistency so that the training content can be assessed globally. As for the assessment strategies, having independent assessors to assess the new hires may prove a little difficult to implement from an organizational standpoint. The company does not have full-time assessors, and the existing and experienced monitors will be busy with trials and are unlikely to be available to stand in as independent assessors. This is something which the committee will have to look at and review again in the near future. On the separate note, in terms of the learning units, the two integrated learning units, LU1 and LU11, have been consolidated very effectively, and this allows for the elimination of duplicate content and enable time to be saved. This gives greater efficiency in terms of gearing the CRAs up for the job. On the next point about LU2 to LU10 to be taken in any order, this may prove a little difficult to implement administrative and logistically, simply because the new hires will be hired from various different locations, various different countries, and they will gather at a particular location for a defined period of time for training. And the learning units during the training will be run in a particular sequence. Therefore, it makes a lot more sense for everyone to go through them in the same sequence. As for the electives, to further refine the process, learners can choose the elective that they want to take up, be given the materials to read, and once they're ready, they can go for the assessment. So again, there is more flexibility for the learners to choose whether they want to read on their own or whether or not they want to attend the training class. The third part on the design specification, it has been a good balance of focus between product, process, and praxis, although gaining competencies is still a key element in the entire curriculum. It is important that the translation of the facilitator's guide, the learner's guide, and the assessments are done by a professional translating organization, so that the content and the meaning stay intact and everything else remains the same except that the language that is being used. More focus would need to be placed on enhancing the learner's values and have them align with that of the organization. The organization has reached a point in time where the values are something which is a distinctive competitive advantage compared to other competitors. So it is important that when learners come for training programs, they understand the critical importance of the company values. Alright, so with that, I'm going to move on to my last slide, which is on the ADDIE implementation process. So this slide gives a whole idea of the schedule that is being planned out from point number 1, reporting the TNA findings in last July, all the way up to number 8, which is enhance and improve the curriculum, which is coming up in July. So I will just quickly run through these different sub-schedules. So from the TNA findings, the focus then shifts to the requirements of qualification, delivery strategies, assessment strategies, articulation with other programs, packaging and sequencing of units, learning outcomes, hidden curriculum, areas of contextualization, and this happens last October and November. With that being done, the emphasis then moves on to the learner's guide, the facilitator's guide, the training materials, assessment plan and instruments, as well as the evaluation instruments. 2 months have been allocated for this, and which were in December and January. The design specs were then validated for 1 month in February, and publicity materials and the program schedules are then produced, with the learner's registration process put in place in 2 months in March and April. We will then plan to do a pilot run of the curriculum. That's going to happen in May, and a program evaluation analysis will then be done in June. Hopefully by then the feedback will be consolidated, interpreted, and if improvements are further needed, we will look at the curriculum again and make some enhancements to it, and that is scheduled to happen in July. So all in all, the EDI implementation process has been communicated, put in place, and understood by the stakeholders. It is also important to know that the curriculum review is not a one-off review. It happens from time to time at various intervals, and the whole purpose is to ensure that the curriculum continues to stay relevant to the ongoing needs of the CRAs as well as the organization. Training has been heavily invested in. The organization wants the CIP program to be a success, not just for the learners but also for the organization as a whole.